Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Michael Holmes. Coming up here on CNN Today, found alive, but that may have been the easy part. Now comes the challenge of getting a Thai youth soccer team and their coach out of a cave. England survived the penalty shootout for once to secure a World Cup quarter-final spot. And Donald Trump's demand to NATO allies ahead of next week's summit. Lost in an underground labyrinth and no clear way to get them out. That's what rescuers in Thailand are facing as they try to figure out a way to save 12 boys and their football coach from the depths of a cave where they've been stranded for a week and a half. A day after those two British divers found the team far inside the cave, rescuers are debating whether to try to bring them to the surface now or wait, possibly for months, until they're absolutely certain it is safe. And here's what they will face. This is why it could take a while. There is a series of flooded, narrow passageways. The V-shaped one in the middle there is almost 5 meters deep. There are cracks and crevices to twist through and 4 subterranean chambers. Experts say it would require 2 divers to escort each boy, a trek that could take at least an hour and a half, and that's if all goes well. A US Air Force captain with the American rescue team that is there on the ground is calling the international effort to save the boys, quote, a celebration of humanity. CNN's Anna Corrin is in Chiang Rai monitoring the operation. She joins us now. The sun has come up another day, but it's going to be another day in the dark for those boys.
Yeah, that's right. Another day in the dark. It is day 11, in fact, for those boys. We should stress, however, Michael, that there is a team of Navy SEALs that are there. They've been with them ever since they found them. They're providing them with food, with medical attention. We know that they slept with blankets last night, and no doubt they've also set up lights, but they're still in the dark, cut off from the outside world. We also know that they're trying to establish communication cables to where the boys are so that they can speak to their parents today. This would do so much to boost their spirits. But you mentioned, how are they going to get them out? Well, they are seriously considering trying to bring those boys out using oxygen masks. Now, we were thinking perhaps it would be scuba breathing apparatus, which we know would be technically difficult. You know, these boys, they're young, 11 to 16. Some of them don't even know how to swim. But if they're wearing full-face oxygen masks, then perhaps they only need to breathe, to feel comfortable, and then, as you mentioned in the introduction, to be led out, guided out by these Navy SEALs. Now, if they can make this happen, Michael, it could definitely mean that the rescue operation could happen much sooner than what we expected. We know that the boys were playing around with the equipment late yesterday. They were in the water. They were swimming with the Navy SEALs. They were apparently having quite a bit of fun, having a good time. So I think it's getting these boys comfortable with this equipment, and then obviously building their strength. You know, they had access to water. They were very resourceful in collecting water whilst they were cut out from the outside world, but they are malnourished. So it is about building their energy so that they are robust enough to make that trek out.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of factors in play. I mean, you know, the unpleasant issue of, you know, human waste. They don't want to get ill down there as well. They were trying to get a telephone line in to try to boost their spirits. I mean, what word on that? Because obviously, when the divers got there and said, "Hey, we're here," the boys probably thought they were going out straight away, and that ain't going to be the case. Are they going to be able to talk to their parents?
Yeah, it's funny, Michael. Yesterday, when they were speaking to the Navy SEALs, one of the boys said, "Can we get out today?" I mean, that is how eager, how anxious they are, despite the fact that they're probably feeling, you know, very exhausted, malnourished, just depleted. But they want out. There is no doubt about it. Psychologically, you would have to assume that this will have an impact. In saying that, they're a team, you know, so they have that camaraderie. And they also have their coach, their 25-year-old coach, who's, you know, a fair bit older than them. He's been their coach for several years. We spoke to the aunt of this coach late yesterday, and she said that he loves these boys. He's dedicated to these boys. They're like his own, and that he will protect them. We know that he was telling them, you need to preserve your energy, don't move around. So from what we understand, spirits are high, and yes, if they can get those communication cables linked up today, we know an Israeli company is behind that. If they can get that sorted and they can speak to their parents, wow, that would be quite something, wouldn't it?
It absolutely would. Anna, thanks so much. Anna Corrin there at the start of another day in Chiang Rai in Thailand. Well, the two British divers who discovered the lost boys swam, climbed and scrambled through some treacherous underground terrain to reach them. But surprisingly, neither one is a professional diver. They're both volunteers and enthusiasts. As Phil Black reports for us now, the tough part of their work may still lay ahead.
After 9 days underground, this was the first voice they heard.
How many of you?
And it was distinctly British.
13. Brilliant.
The two divers who swam and crawled for 90 minutes to find this group huddling in the dark, deep underground are not professional rescuers. John Valanthen is an internet engineer from the English city of Bristol, and Richard Stanton works as a firefighter in Coventry. Both are members of the British Cave Rescue Council. They're volunteers with highly specialised skill sets and decades of experience.
Or cave divers in general are interested in exploring previously unknown caves. So the expertise that is developed in that exploration can be brought to bear on a rescue scenario such as this one.
Thai authorities asked this British group to fly in and help the search, and their expertise in navigating the flooded network of tunnels and chambers proved crucial in locating the boys. But after the joy of finding them, Valanthen and Stanton also had to deliver a difficult truth. They would not be getting out quickly or easily.
Not today. You have to dive. We are coming. It's okay. It's okay. Many people are coming.
I think it's important to highlight the fact that we're not out of the woods yet. This really is only the beginning of the actual rescue phase itself. It's extremely challenging to extract the boys.
Put simply, there are no good options. Tunnelling deep underground into their small chamber is not easy or safe. Diving them out will become more challenging as the monsoon season continues. Water will rise, visibility will get worse, currents will get stronger. Even for experienced divers, these are terrifying and dangerous conditions.
Actually extracting them underwater through this cave will not be undertaken lightly, and is an extremely hazardous extraction scenario.
The British divers are staying on as consultants. The rescue effort is now a military operation. Thai authorities say they will not rush and will only try to get them out when they're sure it's safe.
You are very strong.
Whatever they do, the world is now watching and hoping. Phil Black, CNN, London.
Well, with monsoon season just underway in Southeast Asia, weather, of course, is a big factor, perhaps the big factor in figuring out how and when to get the team to the surface. Jennifer Gray joining us now with that critical part of the story. Of course, these kids got stuck in there because the cave flooded. It's all about the rain.
Right, and it can happen very easily because when the rain flows down the side of these mountains, they fill up the caves, and it can happen very, very quickly. So you want the water level to be as low as possible when you're trying to get these boys out. But like you said, the beginning of the monsoon season is here, and we are really going to see that rainfall increase within the next 2 months. Here's where the cave is, right there in northern Thailand. We have seen just a couple of clouds out there the last day. We really haven't seen a whole lot in the form of rain, which is really good news, despite the fact that that rainy season is starting to peak. We're going to see anywhere from 300 to 400 millimeters of rain for July and again for August, and we are expected to see about 10% above normal rainfall from July through September for the monsoon season. So that doesn't help at all. As we go forward in time, though, there is a little bit of good news. We are going to see just some scattered showers, but we're really not going to see too much in the form of very heavy downpours. So we shouldn't see the water levels come up up, really, which would be good for for the rescuers that are wanting to pump that water out and try to get those levels a little bit lower. So this is the rainfall amount for the next 1 to 5 days. We're really only expected to see about 25 millimeters of rain within that entire time frame. Now, once you go beyond 5 days, from the next 5 to 10 days, the rain really does start to increase. We could see anywhere from 100 to 150 millimeters of rain. So that window of time within the next 1 to 5 days, that is really crucial when you're talking about rescuing these boys. So we are going to see at least a chance of rain in the forecast for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But really, the rain chances aren't that high, only about a 20 to 40% chance of rain throughout the next 3 days or so. But just such a glimmer of hope knowing that these boys, Michael, are safe and sound in there, and they're finding a way to get them to the surface. Don't you know, their families are ecstatic.
Yeah, unbelievable. I bet they just want this to be over. But some perhaps good news on the rain. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Jennifer Gray, thank you. In World Cup action, it was a nail-biting match as England squared up against Colombia. There was a dramatic shootout. It scored a Three Lions win on the very last penalty kick, ending years of heartbreak for English football fans. Love those shots, the eruption of glee there. England, the team that always seemed to lose on penalty kicks, finally won, advancing to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Let's get all of the excitement, the action, the reaction from Don Riddell joining us here now. Yeah, a lot of not exactly impartial folks around the sports department. There's a few English accents. Yours. But this was a stunning result for a team that has lost so often on penalties.
Well, always at the World Cup. 3 penalty shootouts before this one. They'd lost. I can tell you the years, the locations, the players who missed. You know, they are infamous in English football history. They've gone out of 3 European Championships in exactly the same way. So when this game went to penalties, you just knew, or at least you hoped you didn't know, if you know what I mean. And I think, you know, this England team deserves so much credit because they don't seem to be weighed down by all the baggage of the past. It's a new, young team. It's exciting. The manager, Gareth Southgate, has got them really believing they can do it. They got a bit of practice in early. That was Harry Kane scoring during the regular game. And then Colombia's Yerry Mina equalising in injury time, which sent the game into extra time and ultimately penalties. That was a huge moment. Carlos Bacca, Jordan Pickford with a massive save, and it teed up Eric Dyer here. Calm as you like, slotting the ball into the bottom left-hand corner. And as you can see, scenes of absolute jubilation. But, you know, for the players and certainly for the fans, it was all about relief. That was very, very close.
England missed a penalty too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Jordan Henderson had a penalty saved. But all in all, they were good penalties. You know, we've seen in every penalty shootout, there is a team with players who are nervous. They bottle it. They either hit it down the middle because they don't have much confidence or they just miss the target completely. You know, England's penalties were all very, very good tonight. And that is a refreshing change for a team that has real belief that they could do some damage now in this tournament.
Yeah, we've talked a lot over the last few days about the two sides of the draw. One is stronger than the other. England find themselves on the weaker side of the draw. They've got to fancy their chances to go to the final.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you say they find themselves on this half of the draw. They arguably engineered it so that they would be on this side of the draw. Sweden, the next game, they'll be cautiously optimistic about that. But look at the teams on that side of the draw. Russia, the lowest ranked team in the tournament, world number 70. Croatia, Sweden, England. None of those are even in the top 10. And on the other half of the side, teams that need no introduction. Uruguay, France, Brazil, Belgium. They've won the World Cup 8 times between them. 3 of them are in the top 10 rankings. So definitely a better half of the draw to be on. But the way this tournament has played out, nothing can be taken for granted. It has just been one shock and one upset after another, and extraordinary drama.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that draw there, I mean, you'd have to bet that, you know, if England do well against Sweden, they're going to be up against Croatia. You'd think, but you never know with Russia.
Look at what Russia have done.
Yeah, look at this tournament.
I know.
It's been insane with all the penalty shootouts at the end, because there weren't any
late goals.
Yeah, that one in injury time today, which, as we were talking about before, I blame Hala Garani. You were on with her 2 minutes ago. She's like, oh, well, it's done. England can celebrate. Yeah. And you said, don't do that.
I must apologise to her because when Colombia scored while we were live, I was like, you see, you made it happen.
Exactly. You never until the final whistle. Next game up is Sweden. How do you fancy England's chances?
We'll see. Gareth Southgate tonight has come out and said we actually don't have a good record against Sweden, so he's already kind of lowering the expectations in that one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, Sweden, big upset today. They knocked out Switzerland, who was the 6th ranked team in the world. Not a great game, not a great winner. It was a deflected shot, but
there's another highlight that I want to squeeze in here, and that is you when the final kick. Let's roll it and have a look at Don Riddell.
Don, everyone's on pins and needles. One last shootout kick right now from England. And that's it.
Oh!
Congratulations,
Oh,
Don.
my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
I love that. When do we ever get a chance to go, wait,
I was like, you're coming to me now?
Yes.
On the last penalty? Yeah, you know, I tried to keep it in, but it just wouldn't stay in because England fans have been through these so many times before.
Exactly.
And can I just say, commiserations to Colombia.
Exactly.
I feel sorry for Colombia.
Yeah.
Penalty shootouts are... They're no fun when your team is in them. Yeah. They are awful when your team loses on them. But when you win that way, it's brilliant. England fans haven't been able to say that.
Way really to win, but you're right. I mean, they've got to do something.
It's a horrible way to go out.
Yeah, exactly. Don Riddell, priceless. What a day for you.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm a dual passport holder. I've got one as well, so I'm pretty happy as well. Good to see you, mate. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on with a bit more of this. There were a few moments earlier where England fans were holding their breath. Of course, they can breathe easy now, as we've been talking about. But why relax when you can celebrate? Mark Bolton has been following the fans' excitement in London. That's where you wanted to be.
What a night here in London. The clean-up operation on one of the biggest parties in the English capital continues after England book a place in those quarterfinals and get that monkey off their back. They've won a penalty shootout, finally. Talk about the agony and ecstasy of a penalty shootout. England not only saw themselves surrender the lead and go into overtime, 3 minutes into injury time, the 93rd minute, when Colombia equalised. They then saw themselves go behind in the penalty shootout. Same old story for England. 3-2 down after 3 rounds of kicks before then taking the lead finally and winning 4-3. We've seen it all here. A huge party, real optimism, real ebullience at the start, effervescence, then dread, then horror, then heartache potentially. But England come through and book themselves a place further down the list. On Saturday, they will face Sweden. Then, of course, it's Croatia or Russia in the semi-finals, and they could find themselves in the World Cup final, having not beaten a team ranked higher than 20th in the competition. That's unheard of. But the party, for now, will continue, and potentially continue, and continue, and continue, and become the biggest party in English World Cup history since 1966. That's a party you really want to be at. Mark Bolton, CNN, London.
Donald Trump, meanwhile, telling some of America's closest allies to pay more for defence. We'll have the details for you next. Also, in the UK, a health worker arrested suspected of killing babies. We'll have details on the shocking investigation when we come back.